The new episode is out. Can't wait to see some wacky gun adventures! Episode 6 is by far my favorite episode of the Amazing Digital Circus. For an episode that has such a silly title, it's genuinely the most emotionally engaging one of the series. It's also the only episode where I genuinely crashed out. I'll be giving my theories and thoughts on every single section of this episode because that's obviously what you guys want. At the very beginning of the episode, we immediately start with Pomni and Jax. We never started an episode with Pomni just talking to one of the members right off the bat. We usually have her go up to someone, or someone go up to her. But we never get her just talking with one member in such a manner. This episode is already building up that the relationship will be important for this episode. Also, off topic, I found this scene really cute. Right away, Jax is being a jerk to Zooble as usual, and he's the instigator towards Kane grouping all the circus members for an adventure. Although, this scene
didn't even ask him about the singing thing.
The what?
Piqued my interest. There has been multiple occasions in this episode where Jax is forgetful or zoned. I'm not sure if this alludes to anything, but it is something that seems to be somewhat prevalent. When everyone's grouped up and talking about the upcoming adventure, the relationship between Ragatha and Pomni already seems quite distant. I mean, Pomni isn't into the idea of active adventures, while Ragatha is.
Did you really not like my softball one?
I'm not big into sports, sorry.
They're polite, but when they talk, it feels awkward. Kane, as shown from the previous episode, doesn't like the suggestion box. I think this can be a dive into his character. Yes, he's AI, but he's programmed to entertain the members. So when the members don't like him or aren't entertained, that breaks away from his purpose. I mean, it's apparent from the favorite character awards. He wants to be loved. He wants to fulfill his purpose. What he does isn't out of malicious intent, but out of the purpose of his existence. In this scene, there seems to be something more internally for him. He holds this picture, he seems conflicted. I'm unsure. It's possible that this could be diving into his self-identity issues, or something totally else. I don't know all the theories about this section. But anyway, the Zooble scene.
Want the ability to have sex.
No way! Are we finally having this conversation?
It was funny, but definitely brings up many questions. Kane wants them to do a trust exercise, which Zooble immediately calls out Jax 100% fair, because he's such a bitch. Because he is a wrench to cooperation. He refuses and generally just makes everyone's lives harder. Kane has a whole sort of convoluted cooperation exercise, and typical Max didn't listen. Yet immediately we cut into Kane putting information into Jax's mind, which highly implies that Kane can alter minds. This was already somewhat prevalent in the previous episode where he made Jax into a vegan. Both times when he did such altering, it was towards Jax. This might be a stretch, but maybe that fact can be important, or maybe it's just a coincidence. Yet, I do wonder how far Kane can mess with their minds. Is there a limit? Oh, also, Jax shoots Ragatha. But that's just standard behavior from him. Anyways, Kane's plan failed, and he just made them choose partners for a shootout. Interestingly enough, Jax goes to Gangle to team up with her, and for the first time, Gangle says no.
I'm actually gonna be on a team with Zooble.
What?
She chooses a choice that is good for her. She chooses Zooble, someone who genuinely cares about her rather than someone who just uses her. Because Jax teams up with her because she's an easy target, easy to control. And maybe he also chooses her to fulfill into a cliche. Later on, we'll dive into his view on archetypes, but them always partnering up could also be Jax's view of the cartoon, sad and funny characters always together. Gangle is breaking from the norm, something that Jax clearly doesn't want. However, something that brought excitement is when Pomni went to Ragatha to be her partner.
Be on my team?
Something I didn't think would happen due to their clearly distant relationship in the past few episodes. I think this shows that Pomni still wants a relationship with Ragatha. Sure, Ragatha can be overbearing, but their relationship isn't doomed. Ragatha says no, but it's clear that that choice was hard for her, even though it was the right one. She doesn't trust Jax and Kinger, and she doesn't trust herself with Jax. Pomni also wants to avoid Jax, saying that she can team up with Kinger. This can be due to the fact she didn't form a bond with Jax as she did with some of the other members. Or it's because she's uncomfortable with him from the past adventures because he's, again, a character. Ragatha shows a lot of regret with saying no. She wants a bond with Pomni, but in this scenario she couldn't please Pomni. That's why, after their conversation, she immediately goes to people-pleasing.
If you ever need to talk to somebody, or need help with anything, I'm here.
Something Pomni looks uncomfortable with. Because it seems too much, or maybe it looks ingenuine, but I don't think Ragatha is trying to be ingenuine here. Her goal is to just keep this bond because, in reality, she's lonely. Her immediate strategy is to please, something that likely came from her mom. She doesn't seem to know any other way to form a relationship. Her immediate instinct is to do the heavy lifting of a relationship, and I think that's due to her life experiences before entering the circus. That's why when she's with Kinger, she puts up so much weight on how unfair it was for her to have 2 lives rather than 3, thanks to Jax.
Man, I'm still missing a heart. This isn't fair.
She likely had multiple scenarios where her mother wasn't fair to her. Luckily for her, Kinger had a...
Here, take this.
magic butterfly that can restore your health. Something that wasn't part of the game. Kinger says that...
I made it up!
Which brings the question of whether every digital circus member has this ability. Some people theorize that he's the creator of the game, so he has mod privileges. Well, I see the theory. I don't think him being the creator would give him mod privileges. He's as stuck as everyone else in the circus. If he doesn't have mod privileges... Well, I mean, if he does have mod privileges, wouldn't he do something? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense that because he's a mod, he has privileges or hacks. Now to one of my more favorite sections of this episode, the interaction between Pomni and Jax. At first, Pomni wanted to just find guns for Jax. She didn't really want to hurt her friends. And Jax asks her why she cares this much. And he makes a somewhat good point.
Like the circus?
The game today is literally to shoot each other. So what's the point in taking this moral high ground?
This circus isn't the real world, and treating it as such can limit yourself. In this section...
Look, I know what it's like. One day you're somebody in the real world doing important things, and then the next you're just a weird little cartoon jester. You want to hold on to that part of you that still thinks it's part of that world. But in the end, what does it get you? Ragatha tries to be all nice and friendly, but she gets torn up every other adventure. Whether we like it or not, all we are now is a bunch of cartoon characters. So what's the point of pretending we're not?
He wants to help Pomni in his own twisted way. He thinks that his way of thinking is the most beneficial one. And in a way, he's right. There's something liberating in the thought of just accepting that you aren't in the real world, that none of this is real. He believes that having this mindset will make everything in the circus less painful emotionally. That's why he uses Ragatha as an example, because she treats everything in the circus more personally. And in his viewpoint, he likely sees it as a reason why she gets quote-unquote torn up, even though he's most of her issues. Maybe he sees this type of mindset as a weakness. He probably does. However, this mindset is problematic for sure.
We're still people, though, right?
I thought we were at first, but as time goes on, we just end up falling into our archetypes, become part of the machine.
I thought we were at first. He's dehumanizing himself. At first, he viewed himself and the others as human, but he believes that being not human is the thing that saves you. Because if you're not human, you can't feel pain, or grief, or honestly anything that matters. He starts putting everyone into one-dimensional characters, including himself. He tries to dissociate himself and the others of their humanity because that makes everything easier to bear. It makes everything not real.
What's your archetype, then?
the villain?
Listen, I add a key dynamic. I see how far I can push things. I screw with people, and I break the fourth wall.
He doesn't want to be perceived as a villain. It's clear from his expression. He wants to be just the funny one. You know, having the cognition that breaks the fourth wall is also a form of dehumanizing himself, in my opinion, because he isn't necessarily the funny one to any of the members. He's the funny one to the audience, or the fourth wall. If he truly believes that there's a fourth wall, then he believes that everything's a show, that they are truly just cartoons, and that brings him a sense of control. He controls the narrative that he's the funny one. He doesn't portray himself as the evil one, even though that's genuinely closer to who he is towards everyone else. I mean, some people might just call him a trickster, but he's definitely the antagonist for everyone in the circus. He also clings onto the fact that everyone is an archetype.
Ragatha's the cheerful one, Gangle's the sad one, Kinger's the crazy one, Zubal's the grumpy one, and you are the one who hasn't figured that out yet. We all just became archetypes.
Even though later in the episode it shows that these characters aren't defined by their archetypes. They are human beings, and Jax trying to convince himself that they aren't helps him feel grounded. Because if the rest aren't human, then it isn't painful for anyone to lose anyone because they're all one-dimensional. I think Jax thinks that his advice is actually good and helpful for Pomni. And in a sense, it was. But clearly, Jax's mindset isn't healthy, and if you keep this on, you're just gonna make everything worse for yourself. But you can clearly see that Pomni is loosening herself up with Jax, something that doesn't really seem to happen with the others. We get to everyone shooting each other and somewhat having fun. Jax goes to kill Ragatha. They get into a secluded place, and...
Exactly what you're doing with Pomni, and it'll never work!
Huh?
You know, getting close with Pomni. To corrupt her.
Ragatha clearly believes that Jax has ill intent towards getting close to Pomni. But based on Jax's expression, he isn't. This isn't a plot, however she believes it is, because that's how Jax portrays himself. Now, he has not shown others that his intent was ever not bad. Maybe she's implying that he corrupted his other friends, or she could just be jealous. I'm not sure. But clearly the word corrupt seemed to pull a trigger from Jax. Maybe deep down he did feel like he corrupted his previous relations, but I'm not fully sure. His expression is upset, but he immediately masks it when Pomni comes.
I lost Kinger, but I got him down to one life.
His grim and widened pupils are his masks of the funny guy. It's almost instant. He never wants anyone to believe that he's quote-unquote upset. We get a pretty awesome sequence of Pomni, Jax, and Kinger having a shoot-down. And Kinger dies and gets in a room with Ragatha, aka the loser corner. Here we get a wonderful father-daughter moment of Kinger and Ragatha. Ragatha's upset that she failed Pomni like how she failed Jax, which makes you wonder why she feels like this. I mean, she obviously didn't fail Pomni. This is just her insecurities talking. And that isn't even Ragatha's responsibility in the first place. It's likely the same with Jax. She likely didn't do anything that failed him, but she puts her self-blame as her first response. She's afraid that her attitude is too much. She believes that everyone hates her. I mean, she hates herself. She doesn't want to be alone, but she feels that every time a relationship is breaking, it's her fault. However, Kinger makes an important point.
The way I see it, relationships are two-sided, and sometimes it doesn't make sense to do all the heavy lifting when the other isn't in the mood. We all go through and deal with things differently, and sometimes you just need to let people do things their own way, as long as you're still there when they need you.
Relationships are two-sided. Ragatha shouldn't do the heavy lifting because that's not how a healthy relationship works. Ragatha likely had to do the heavy lifting with her relationship with her mother or family, which in turn incentivizes herself to do the same with other individuals. She puts blame on herself when a relationship isn't working, even when it isn't her fault, or it shouldn't be her responsibility. However, Kinger says that he hated himself for the things he blamed himself for, which makes you question what exactly are those things. Like, is it Queenie, or is it something to do with the game? I'm not fully sure. But
I hated myself. I couldn't help but hate myself for the things I thought I was responsible for. I thought I'd lost everything. But then you showed up, and my outlook just changed.
Ragatha changed his perspective. Her existence brought him hope, took him away from that self-hating mindset. In a way, Ragatha is probably one of the big reasons why he didn't abstract. She changed his outlook, and he wants her as well, because he wants her to look out for herself. Kinger clearly cares for Ragatha, and their relationship will be important for future episodes. Moving forward, we get a pretty badass scene with Gangle. She uses her happy mask when shooting the gun, and the exhilarating part is when her happy mask cracked. She was still smiling, which is already such a huge development for Gangle. Pomni hugs Jax. We know that Pomni has an aversion to physical contact based on one of Gooseworks' Tumblr responses. Rarely do we see her purposely hug or provide physical contact towards anyone. This showcases that she's comfortable with Jax, something she rarely shows with any of the other members of the circus. Even Jax looked comfortable in this embrace until he realized that he couldn't let her in. He couldn't humanize her. Even afterwards, he looks at his hand that pushed off Pomni in a dissociative manner.
I suppose this is the part where one of us betrays the other.
Is it out of regret or something else? I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah. You can betray me.
Oh, I thought this was gonna be a mutual thing.
Nah, go on. Do it.
Jax wants Pomni to betray him, yet Pomni just wants this thing to be a thing that builds their bond. She wants a relationship with him. She doesn't mind them both being winners, while he wants to break their connection completely.
We're not a team. Come on.
What do you mean? Yes, we are.
Delusional.
During their fight, he gaslights her the whole while playing this funny, detached persona. He wants her to begin disliking him. He wants her to believe that everything that happened was nothing special, even though it was special.
Did I do something wrong?
You sound like Ragatha right now.
You know, Pomni instantly shifts to self-blame because his attitude change was that sudden. They were just fine just a few moments ago, and now Jax is acting like this. Obviously, he doesn't want her to blame herself, because then she'd believe that they had something meaningful, which Jax doesn't want her to believe at all.
What about all that stuff you told me?
Yeah, I did tell you a lot, didn't I? Not looking forward to thinking about that tomorrow.
And here it's obvious that he hates the fact that he let her in. He hates the fact that he was vulnerable with her. Although he might have not said that much, he said enough to humanize himself. However, Pomni sees through him. She knows that they had a bond, which makes Jax deflect by stating that she was coming onto him. He wants her to be upset with him. He insults her. He does everything to upset her because he wants her to pull the trigger. He wants her to accept that they were never a team. However, Pomni makes a good point.
You reached out to me, not the other way around. You're just gonna pretend that didn't happen?
Jax is the one who reached out to her. He was the person who went out of his way to help Pomni just so she would shoot guns with him. This episode could have easily just have been Pomni finding him guns while Jax does his own thing shooting everyone. But no, instead he reached out to her. He tried to help her so that they'd shoot together. Yet Jax can't keep up this always funny persona. Because, once again, he's human. At Pomni's statement,
have you ever thought that this might be what causes people to abstract in the first place?
Oh my god! Are you seriously gonna blame me for something that everybody else did too? You didn't even know him! You don't even know what people are like before they abstract! They are not pleasant to be around. Like at all!
Jax finally breaks. It's implied that the members blamed him for the abstraction of his friends, and maybe he also blamed himself for it, which explains his breaking his composure. Yet, something piqued my interest. He stated that people before they distracted aren't pleasant to be around, and he is definitely not pleasant to be around. This could be a stretch, but this could be a sign of him possibly abstracting, but I'm not fully sure. I don't think he will abstract, but maybe he's getting into the cuff of it. Well, before we can say anything more, he immediately puts up a facade.
I'd move on. And probably forget about you.
Now, a lot of people online argue that he meant what he said, but we see that his pupils are large and he has a smile. In this episode, that usually meant that he was masking. I don't think he meant it, especially when he backhanded almost immediately afterwards by calling it a quote-unquote joke. His expression looked upset. It wasn't just neutral. He could have just stayed silent, but he didn't. He is doing everything in his power to hurt Pomni so that she dislikes him, but there is a human part of him that doesn't want to do that at the same time. Pomni states that Jax isn't the funny one. I think that's because he's generally not being funny, but because maybe she wants him to not just view himself as the funny one, or she sees through him.
Fight back!
Are you crazy?
I said fight back!
Stop!
Not once did he fight back. Sure, he pushed her, but he never fought back. We all know he's clearly capable of fighting. Take how he treats Gengo and Ragatha. He is fully capable of doing it, but he doesn't with Pomni. He makes this statement.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Because I didn't fight back, that means I secretly care about you?
Pomni never implied that, but he did. I believe subconsciously he does care, but he's doing everything in his power to not. Remember in the beginning when he was talking about archetypes and Pomni asked if his archetype was being a villain? Well,
You are my playthings, and I get joy out of making you suffer. I'm the one who causes pain for fun. If I led you on, it was just to make this part hurt you more.
I think he leans into that archetype to hurt her. He is doing everything to hurt her. He doesn't see himself as a villain, but he'll make himself into one if it dehumanizes him in her eyes. Well, many say that he completely meant this. I think it's pretty obvious that he didn't. He lost his composure. He swore for the first time in the show. If he truly didn't care, then he wouldn't be acting like this. People who don't care don't get emotional about the things they don't care about.
There's nothing more to me. So please, just stop looking.
He wants Pomni to give up on him. He wants her to just see him as a one-dimensional being. He doesn't want to be perceived as human. He doesn't want to form a bond that's deeper than their funny archetypes. He pushes everyone away so that he and them feel pain from their bond. In a way, I think he wants people to hate him, or at least that's preferred over them genuinely being connected to him in a positive manner. I'd even go as far as to argue that he wants the audience to hate him, or to see him as a one-dimensional prick. He doesn't want anything deeper than a surface-level view of his character, which is something that should break any person, but he uses it as a mechanism for survival, even though in the end it will just be negatively affecting him. Yet even after all of that, Pomni still cares. She's concerned. She still wants this relationship with Jax, and she sees that Jax is more than just the funny guy. We skip to the favorite character awards, and we have a sweet moment between Pomni and Ragatha.
Hey,
I have something
I
I-
feel like
You can
no,
speak
you
first.
go. Let's talk after the show.
Yeah, sounds good.
Clearly, their bond isn't severed. Even after all those awkward conversations, their relationship will likely grow in future episodes. Pomni sits with the rest of the group. Jax comes in and he seems to want to be with the rest, but again, he doesn't want to form that attachment. No matter how much he craves it, Pomni herself wants him to sit with her, but his avoidant ass makes that quite difficult.
But what's an award show without honorable men?
He's uncomfortable, and I think this is a dead giveaway that he regretted that day. Maybe he regretted his actions, or the fact that he's feeling human, or probably both. This scene really implies that he's on a cusp of abstracting. His pupils replicate Pomni's from the first episode. There's a static as well as an obvious glitch.
God, you look stupid.
God, I look stupid. I think that's a dead giveaway with his self-hatred. When he came back, Pomni was about to go get him before she saw him already getting out. Interestingly enough, Jax, when he was getting out, he immediately had that smiley, funny, expressive that he always masks on after any situation. She already holds onto this bond deeply. I don't fully understand why she puts so much care towards Jack. Why does Pomni care about Jax of all people. Their bond is fascinating, but I still don't fully understand it. Why does she care? She barely showed this much care for the other members, minus Jax from what I saw. I think their bond will be important in future episodes, although I'm not sure how to feel about that fact. On one hand, I love their bond, but I don't want Pomni to hurt herself over Jax. I don't want her to do the heavy lifting in this relationship. Gosh, Jax and Pomni give me so much pain. Also, what is Jax's final goal here? To make everyone hate him to the point where he's truly alone and unloved? Is this really how far he's willing to go just to avoid feeling anything? Look, I don't think he deserves to be extracted, unlike what many people say. His actions are horrible, but is basically dying unloved really the answer here? Jax is the youngest person in the circus. He can still change, but with the way things are going, I don't know. Glitch said that he'll be irredeemable. Well, not exactly, but it's somewhat implied, but I might be just looking too much into it. But I don't like that fact that he could be irredeemable, because I like Jax. I want to see him redeem himself. I want the relations in the circus to get better. But whatever the ending is, there's not much I can do with how the story will go. Jax can be irredeemable. That'd be freaking sad. But honestly, again, there's not much you can do about that. If he isn't willing to change, then he'll forever be known as that guy that people were happier when he was dead or gone. And that's honestly fucking depressing. Overall, I love his character. Jax and Pomni are 100% my favorite characters, and their duo are the top one that I enjoy in the show. This episode really did break me in a way, like, oh my gosh. Funny bunny shippers. Y'all, this episode converted me completely.
Alrighty. Now, let's see how many of them voted for me.
Yeah, Kane's abstracting. I'm calling it. If y'all liked my ranting or analysis, please hit that subscribe button. We're so close to 1,000, and I want to be able to make more videos like this if you guys truly enjoyed it. Give me some suggestions. Actually, give me about your thoughts of this episode. I love hearing comments about people's own thoughts. Though, please be respectful. Okay, subscribe, share, all that normal stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.